Good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. Um, we are on the last chapter of moral laws, which is moral perfection. We stopped last week on question 903. So we are talking about virtues and vices, and we are going to start today on question 904. I see that Philip just joined us, just in time, Philip. So we can start from 904. Can you see it, or you need me to increase the font? You're on mute. Still mute.
Can you hear me now?
No, now you're good.
I've had a lot of trouble getting in today.
Okay.
904. Is it wrong to probe the plagues of society and revealing them? That depends on the motive behind this action. If a writer's only purpose is to create a scandal, he or she obtains personal satisfaction from presenting images or situations that are corruptive rather than instructive. The mind perceives the evils of society, but those who take pleasure in portraying evil for the sake of evil will be punished for doing so. In this case, how can we judge the purity of intention and the sincerity of the authors? It is not always necessary. If authors write good things, you profit by them. If they write bad things, it is a question of conscience. However, if they want to prove their sincerity, they do it by the excellence of their own example.
Okay. Um, so when we talk, the answer from the spirits here talks about writers, right? How their work in terms of writing what is wrong with society and exposing those that are um, causing scandals or other things. And the spirits are telling us really what is the intention behind, right? We are responsible for our actions. So if we are exposing the plagues of society as a mean to create scandal, to cause disturbance with no benefit for anyone, then we are in the wrong. Um, we talked about this on Monday, right? Of seeing the imperfections of others that we normally see what our own imperfections we have a tendency to see in others. So for us to expose the wrongs that others are doing, the question is this done as a means to protect others, to protect victims, to expose risks for society, or just to create scandal and it doesn't benefit anyone? So if it doesn't benefit anyone, we are doing just for the purpose of causing some kind of disturbance, then we are going to be responsible and we are going to have to face the consequence. If we're portraying evil for the sake of evil, we'll be punished. Punished meaning our own conscience. Um, and the second part is asking, Kardec is asking, but how can we judge the purity of intention and the sincerity of the authors or of those that are exposing? And the answer is it's not really necessary, right? If it is good thing, if they are, if those denouncing the ills of society are serve as a means for us to protect ourselves from this these issues, these problems, then good for them, good for us that we are taking in consideration. Now, if they if we want to analyze them, we look at their behavior, their own example, right? So if someone criticizes something in society, but they themselves do all the things that are criticizing or do similar things, right? So of course, it's they're going to have to face responsibilities. What for us, it is analyzing the results, the consequences of what they are doing, the effects that it has on society. So, if it has a positive effect, if it is helping protect society from worse things, then it is valid and it is important. If it's creating noise just for sake of exposing people, creating scandal, really causing uh, harm and not producing any good, then of course it is not positive, and it's going um, to be analyzed and judged in that way. But our responsibility is to just to see what good does it do for us and what can we take advantage of it, or how should we not pay attention to it because it's not constructive or helpful in any form. Okay. 905.
There are great books that are full of moral teachings from which their authors have not derived much moral profit despite helping the progress of humanity. Is the good those authors do by their writing be counted to them as spirits? Professing the principles of morality without subsequent action is like having a seed without completing the sowing.
Writing some information.
What is the point of having the seed if you do not make it bear fruit to feed you? These authors are even guiltier because they possess the intelligence that enables them to understand. By not practicing the virtues they recommend to others, they fail to enjoy the harvest they could reap themselves.
So here we're talking and going back to authors writing books that are very helpful for the progress of humankind, full of moral teachings, full of good examples, and the authors themselves are they going to be in a way rewarded for it, right? And again, the responsibilities and the are for those that write. So if they follow what they preach, then of course they are going to receive uh, with a clean conscience the benefit of their work. Now, if they write all the work, which is a good work, but they don't practice themselves, so they will still benefit a little bit, but not fully benefit from it because what they are doing is just preaching what they don't do themselves. We go back to the words of Francis of Assisi, right? That tells us, go and preach the gospel and, if necessary, use words, which means, your example is what's going to make people believe in you and follow you. Just words in a paper, they may be helpful. It's better than nothing, but without following up on what you are writing or preaching, you are going to face the responsibilities of it, right? And if we change the authors from some religious leaders that preach a lot of goodness and then practice do not practice the goodness, and again, in all religions, this is because we are all imperfect humans, right? They are going to face a greater responsibility, like we ourselves, spiritists, right? We have all this knowledge that we received, all this so much important um, literature, instructions, so much knowledge that we receive from the spirits, from from all the works for the studies and everything. Now, from to move from our minds to our hearts is a personal effort that we have to make it. If we don't make it, it's our responsibility will be greater because we have the knowledge. Now it's our responsibility to put it in practice on our daily lives. If we don't, we are more responsible than someone that does not have any knowledge. And, sometimes you have people without knowledge, but with a good heart, people that do the right things because they are uh, um, guided by good moral ways. So these people are going to benefit much more than someone that has the knowledge but does not put in practice. Okay? 906.
Is it wrong for those who do good to be conscious of the goodness of their deed and to acknowledge that goodness to themselves? Since human beings are aware of the bad they do, they must also be aware of the good they do as well. It is only by this recognition of their conscience that they can know whether they have done good or bad. By weighing all their actions according to God's law, especially the law of justice, love, and charity, they can decide whether they are good or bad and can approve or disapprove of those actions accordingly. Therefore, it is not wrong to recognize the fact that they have triumphed over evil and rejoice in having done so, provided that this does not turn into narcissism, because that would be as reprehensible as any of the faults over which they have triumphed.
Okay, so um, we have the knowledge, we have to the understanding, we know God's law. Is of course we have to be aware of our actions if they are good or not, uh, and and the recognition of doing the right things because it is the based on the effort we do, it is um, important for us to understand and recognize our good deeds because especially if we are overcoming imperfections, we are putting in practice um, learnings that have improved ourselves. There is nothing wrong in feeling happy with oneself, feeling proud of oneself by achieving uh, moral improvements. So it's not wrong to recognize the fact that we have overcome our imperfections. We can only judge ourselves against ourselves, against we know our inner feelings, we know our inferior tendencies. Now the problem is when we we become proud in a selfish way, right? Because we talk about the twin evils, right? Pride and selfishness. When we combine those two, it's when it becomes really a problem. Because the moment your right hand is looking at what your left hand is doing, you are receiving a smaller reward than if your left hand don't see what your right hand does. We talked about this last week and the week before, right? People that help hospitals, universities, and then put their names on the buildings. It's better than not helping, but uh, it's not a full reward because they are uh, exposing their donations with their names on their building. So the pride and selfishness are combined in those actions. It is better than not helping anyone, but it is not the full reward of having achieved something because it's part of you. You help because it became part of you. When it becomes part of who we are, practicing charity, we are not going to even think about it because, it's who we are. So again, until we get there, for the recognition of us doing our part in um, in doing good and overcoming our imperfections, overcoming our challenges, the recognition of them, it's important on our evolutionary journey to understand that we have achieved something that we needed, which is to overcome imperfections. Okay? Okay, so now we go into passions.
907. As our passions are rooted in nature, are they bad in themselves? No. It is only their abuse or excess that is bad. The principle of all passions has been given to human beings for their own good, and these passions may spur them to accomplish great things. It is only their abuse that does harm.
Yeah, this is important, right? When we talk about passions, and here, passions, it can be any type of passions, right? But let's think about those that are passionate about the work, right? Scientists, teachers, any type of profession. If you are passionate about your work and you are working to help society, to help humanity, there's nothing wrong with them. Nothing. In reality, passion exists to motivate us, to make us move forward. The problem is, of course, as always, the excess, right? When we use our passions to take personal advantages to the detriment of others, or we abuse our passions and cause harm to ourselves, to others. So a healthy passion that drives us to achieve something important for our own progress, intellectual progress, and to help humanity is healthy and very useful. Uh, we need to know where is the line that we should not cross when this passion becomes an obsession, or it becomes something that is causing harm to others. And then we have to analyze that, right? So we talk about people when talk about passion, the difference between love and passion in relation to other human beings. We normally say that we have passion and love comes later, or we have passion but never true love. This is different things, right? It is feelings towards someone else. Here we're talking more about passions that that help us move forward, learn things, dedicate ourselves to help others, right? Those that dedicate their lives to be of assistance to others. If you think of a Mother Teresa, you can say that she had a passion for helping those the poorest of the poor. It was a passion. She dedicated her whole life to it. it was a beautiful passion. So in that sense, it's what we are talking here. But when you have a passion for something that is going to cause harm to yourself and to others, then it becomes a problem. Okay? And that's what the next question actually deals with.
908.
Yeah.
How can we define the limit at which passions cease to be good or bad? Passions are like a horse that is positive or useful when under control, but dangerous when untamed. A passion becomes wicked the moment you lose control of it, and when it causes harm to yourselves or others. Passions are switches that greatly increase your powers and help you carry out God's designs. If you allow yourself to be ruled by your passions instead of controlling them, you become a victim of excess. The same force that can be useful ends up annihilating you. All the passions are rooted in a natural sentiment or want. They are not bad in themselves, since they constitute one of the God given conditions of our existence. Passion usually signifies the exaggeration of a need or feeling. It lies in the excess and not in the cause. Thus, and such excess becomes evil when it results in some kind of evil. Every passion that brings human beings closer to an animalistic nature carries them farther away from the spiritual nature. On the contrary, every feeling that raises human beings above the animal nature demonstrates the dominance of their spiritual side over their animal side and brings them closer to perfection.
Okay, so the example that the spirits give us here, it's a very good one, right? Um, so when we are riding a horse, are we controlling the horse or is the horse controlling us, going wherever it wants to go? That's the comparison they do with our passions. If we control our passions, we educate them and control them, they are very useful and they are very helpful to us. If we lose control of it, if the passion controls us, then we are going to cause harm to ourselves and to others. Again, if an uncontrolled horse can cause harm to us, to others, and to the horse itself. But if we control the horse, we are going to protect ourselves, protect others, and make use of it in a positive way. So it's a very good comparison that the spirits give to us. And then Kardec tells us about how it compares to switches, right? That God gives to us uh, that increase our power and help carry God's designs. Because if we didn't have passion, we would progress much slower than when we have passion. Because instead of, again, without passion, we become lazy. We don't do anything. We don't make an effort. So passion helps us. But as Kardec says, the same force that can be useful can end up annihilating us. Passions in themselves are not bad, since they give us that we're given passion by it's a God-given condition, right? We tend to say passion is an exaggeration of a need or feeling, like Kardec says, but the excess is the problem, not the cause. And when this excess causes evil, is even worse. So, as Kardec tells us here, every passion that makes us close to our animalistic nature moves us away from spiritual involvement. And every passion that helps us move forward, that helps humanity of or ourselves, demonstrates our spiritual nature prevailing over our animalistic nature. So how we deal with our passions is what really matters in the end. Okay?
909.
Yeah.
Are an individual's own efforts enough to vanquish his or her bad tendencies? Yes. A very small effort is often all that is needed. It is the will that is missing. It is quite astounding how few of you make any serious effort.
It's interesting that the spirits point to us here that what we lack is the will to change. We know many of our imperfections. We don't know all of them because we are far from being at the level of a perfect spirit. But we know our imperfections. Uh, do we fight to overcome them? We don't. Most of the cases, we lack the will. Emmanuel teaches us discipline, discipline, discipline is all we need to overcome our imperfections. If we make a serious effort, we will succeed. It's not going to change overnight. It requires effort, it requires a daily work on it, but it is achievable and it is possible. You see the change that Paul of Tarsus did with himself on his journey, right? The effort to learn the teachings of Christ and to disseminate the teachings of Christ, you see that it is possible to, with effort and with the will, to make changes and to make significant changes in our lives. But again, the spirits tell us you don't have the will. The will is missing. If we focus and commit, we can make the changes that we need. Okay?
910.
Yeah.
Can human beings obtain effective help from spirits in overcoming their passions? If they address a sincere prayer for such help to God, good spirits will help them as it is their duty to do so.
So, can we ask help from the spirits to overcome our inferior tendencies? Not only we can, but we should, because the act of prayer elevate our vibrations, connect with the spiritual benefactors, and will bring close to us those that want us to progress, want us to move forward. So they will be there rooting for us, sending their advices, sending their good vibrations to us. It's just a matter of us connecting to them that we'll be able to do so. So it is not that they are not there to help us. They are there to help us at all times. It's just us. We close ourselves to their help and assistance by lowering our vibrations. So when we pray a sincere prayer, we elevate our vibrations and we allow them to help and assist us by giving us inspiration, giving us guidance to overcome our inferior tendencies. Yes, Paco.
I just want to say that question 909, it's true. I cannot deny that, but it's my personal experience that it's mostly 910 that is affected. I think that that notch from the spirit it's needed for many passions, especially the passions for addictions. Yeah, but
Yes.
that's a personal opinion. Doesn't go whatever. But it's I believe that yeah, it's possible. It's possible for you to, but when it comes to addictions itself, number 910 is the most likely the answer.
Yeah, but again, in terms of addictions, right? What do you need? You need to want to overcome your addiction. You need the will to overcome, and then you look for others to help you, right?
Yeah, but
So
that's exactly my point. That the
yeah,
will, the talk, it's practically impossible to fight addictions on your own.
yes, yes. But if you don't take the first step, you're never going
Okay,
to overcome.
exactly. But it's very difficult to do it on your own. Just on your mere will, it's
Yeah,
very difficult. It's happened. It's happened. But I'm not saying it doesn't, like it says in 909. But it's my experience here that remember, this is a personal experience. This is not written on stone. But my experience that 910 is really the solid one, the solid principle here.
yeah. And again, it's very difficult, but not impossible, right? Nothing is impossible. But
No,
you're right. The will to look for help is what matters here,
exactly.
and the help from the spirits and the help from the incarnate ones also. You go to the meetings, you commit to go to the meetings, you go every week, or
Meditation, journaling, all those things
all those
can.
things are important, yes. But all of these things require will. Okay.
911.
Yeah.
Are passions sometimes so fierce and irresistible that the will is powerless to withstand them? Many people say, I want to, but their will is only on their lips. They are not generally sorry when what they want does not happen. When people are unable to conquer their passions, it is because they take pleasure in yielding to them. Those who can control their passions understands their spiritual nature and know that every victory over them is a triumph of their spirit over matter.
Yeah, this question goes back to our willingness to make the necessary changes, right? Because if you ask, everybody wants to overcome their imperfections, of course. Everybody wants to be better. That's but the lack of will comes from sometimes laziness, sometimes we take pleasure in our addictions, right? It on our passions, we our imperfections makes us enjoy what we are doing, and all of this makes it very difficult, but it is possible, and those that learn how to control their passions, and instruments for each person is different, right? When we talk about how to overcome their imperfections, each we can have ways of doing it, and we can have guidance, but we have to conquer our own demons ourselves. Others can help us, can give us support, can be there for us, and that's very important. And our role, if we are trying to help someone overcome their imperfections, addictions, is to be present, to be there if needed, but the effort is individual. We have to do our job. We have to overcome our own imperfections. Nobody can do it for us. Everyone can help all those in need, but they they need to want to be helped and allow to be helped. Because many people ask for help and they're sincerely not asking for help. If you remember in the book Nosso Lar, André Luiz, one of the first experiences he has is a lady screaming at the gates of Nosso Lar, asking to be allowed to go in because she's suffering, she's struggling, and the responsible for the gates do not allow her to go in. André Luiz is shocked that someone in need, and they tell him, listen, she's not ready to be helped. You see all these black dots around her. It's all the abortions that she facilitated, and she hasn't uh, accepted the responsibility for her actions. So until she accepts responsibilities for her actions, she cannot be accepted into Non Solar. So she wants to be helped only from the outside, but internally she hasn't really made the necessary changes. And again, it's the example of how we have to do the work ourselves. We have to have the will, and we have to ask for help and be open to be helped to for the help to come. Um, if you remember that famous passage with the paths on the sand, that someone talking to Jesus, right, and saying that that they walk on the beach, he sees two pairs of marks on on the sand that was,
Footprint.
sorry, footprint.
Footprint.
Yeah,
Footprints.
footprints. Thank you. The word was escaping me. Footprints, two footprints. And but the most difficult moments in his life, he only saw one set of footprints, and then Jesus tell him, "Yes, because on those moments I was carrying you." Right. So again, we have the help if we allow the help to be there for us. Um, so but we need to want to be helped, open ourselves to be helped. Okay?
912.
Yes.
What is the most effective means of fighting the predominance of the corporal nature? Practicing self-denial.
The very short and direct answer from the spirits: practicing self denial. Practicing. It is a practice, it's something that we have to do on a regular basis. It's not once or twice, but on a regular basis. When you practice something, you are doing it several times. You practice for a race, you are running every week, day, whatever, preparing yourself for a race. You're practicing. So the practicing here, self-denial, is a ongoing effort that we have to make for whatever imperfection we have, the temptations that we face. By practicing self-denial is the only way to overcome these challenges that are in front of us. Okay?
I have to add that self-denial sometimes, or probably most of the time, does come from delaying impulses. Impulse delay.
Yeah.
The more you practice the delay of impulses, eventually that's going to evolve into practically
Yeah.
self-denial.
Yeah, one thing for again from AA, right? That they count the days, right? It's just one day at a time. You practice abstinence for one day. I'm not going to drink today. It's because that's the way to overcome. It's the practicing of self-denial every day.
Yeah, delaying the impulse until eventually
Yes.
the self-denial establishes itself
Yes, when it becomes part of who you are,
as part of who you are.
and then you no longer need to practice. But until you get
That's
there,
it.
you have to
Exactly.
do it every day or every time. Okay. So
Selfishness.
selfishness, the root of all the problems we face.
What vice may we label as the root of the others? Selfishness. As we have repeatedly told you, every wrongdoing can be traced back to selfishness. Study all the vices, and you will see that selfishness is at the root of them all. You will never succeed in eradicating them until you attack them at their root. Only then you have destroyed the selfishness that is their cause. All your efforts should be focused on this end, as selfishness is the plague of human society. All those who attempt to reach moral excellence must uproot every selfish feeling from their hearts because it is incompatible with justice, love, and charity. It offsets all other qualities.
So the first point here that we can discuss is why does it exist, right? Where does it come, selfishness? Well, it comes from our necessity of surviving as primitive beings, as in the animal kingdom, to defend ourselves, to survive. So, to defend ourselves, to protect ourselves, the animalistic tendencies, the first one that we have is selfishness. Because without selfishness, we're going to be killed, eliminated very quickly, right? If we don't have no interest in defending ourselves or into surviving. Again, in order to survive, we needed to find food for us to eat. So, trying to find food for myself to the detriment of others is selfishness. But if it is the only way that I'm going to survive, that's what I need. So, from our instinctive nature is where selfishness comes from. But as we begin our journey into towards our spiritual nature, then selfishness becomes the most difficult vice to overcome because it's present in all of us and it is at our stage is still a natural tendency that we all have to think about ourselves first, second, third, and then we start thinking about our families, and then we're going to think about others in the 10th or 11th option. So, every wrongdoing can be traced back to selfishness, right? You analyze all the crimes, all the 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 mistakes that are made, and in the root of them, you find selfishness, right? Someone stealing, someone taking advantage of others, someone taking trying to progress in whatever sector of society to the detriment of others. Selfishness is the base of everything. Um, Jesus told us, "Do to others what you would like others to do to unto yourselves," right? Which is the basic uh, teaching to overcome selfishness. Because the moment we are thinking of others in the beginning, in the same way we think of ourselves, we are overcoming selfishness. Because if we are not going to do something that can harm others, we are not going to take advantage of others. So we are fighting selfishness. So, of course, a perfect spirit will think of others before they think of themselves, because that's how they became perfect, by thinking of others and helping others as the main focus of their existence. At our level of evolution, we are far away from that. We are still very selfish. The way to fight against selfishness is to analyze our actions. Who are our actions benefiting? If they are benefiting us and others, then that's fine. If they are benefiting only us, it's selfish. If they are benefiting others to our detriment, it's charity. So we need to reflect, work on that, but we are still far away from it, right? Because we still carry the self-defense instinct, which prevails, right? We live in society, again, you go there to you go into a line and to buy something, and then as you approach the product you want to buy, the last one is sold to the one in front of you, right? Your first reaction is anger, is frustration, and if the other person offers it to you, being selfless, you are going to accept, refuse, give to the person behind you. It's a personal judgment that we can make of ourselves, right? And these are these small situations that we face in life that will show us if we are on the path of fighting our selfishness, because we are not going to say that we are not selfish here. Otherwise, we are imperfect spirits, and the very characteristic of an imperfect spirit is to be selfish. So, are we fighting against our selfishness? Are we making an effort to overcome them? Are we think of others the same way we think of ourselves? That's how we can measure ourselves with this imperfection that is the root of all issues that we have, which is selfishness. Right? Study all vices, and you see the selfishness is at the root of all of them. That's very easy. Every crime we see out there, you look at the responsible for the crime, selfishness is the action. If you kill someone, you want that person for yourself. If it's an act of misguided love, if you are stealing from someone and you kill someone, you are trying to take possession of something that's not yours, selfishness. So all the vices in the end are rooted in selfishness.
914.
Yes.
As it is rooted in personal interests, it seems to be very difficult to entirely remove selfishness from the human heart. Is it possible? As human beings become enlightened in regard to spiritual things, they attach less value to material things. As they free themselves from the shackles of matter, they reform the human institutions that foster selfishness. This is accomplished through education.
The basic the basic thing that we need in our society is education. We talked about it, right? A society that focuses on education is a society that is progressing faster than others that focus less on education. We mentioned last week the example of South Korea. That is one of the countries that focus more on education than others, and they became a developed country in 50 years compared to others that took 100 or they're still struggling. And again, the lack of education in the sense of preparing their children and youth to be citizens, right? So when we learn through education to respect others, to live in society, to think of the interests of others before we think of ours, we are making this effort to remove selfishness. As we become more spiritualized and less attached to material things, we are going to become less selfish, right? The Chico Xavier used to give everything that he received to others. He never kept anything to himself. He said it was a way uh, not to overcome his own selfishness and not to own anything to anyone, right? So everything that he would receive, he would immediately give to others, right? Uh, There is a famous case of a clock, a pocket clock or a watch that he got from someone that wrote to the Spirit Emmanuel and to the great Chico or something like that. And the person who found it saw that he erased the great that was next to his name or the something else that was written there. So again, it's the true humble person without any trace of selfishness that he is, right? We are far from that. We still need to learn, but education is the basis. So that's why it's so important to focus on education. And Spiritism tries to focus on youth to help them to with the moral teachings. This weekend we have the International Spiritist Council is promoting lives in 4 different languages of youth education, Spiritism and youth education at different times at Saturday. So if you want to watch it, you look for it on the International Spiritist Council website. Education, youth education. Okay, I think we can do one more.
9:15. As selfishness is inherent to the human race, will it not always be an obstacle to the reign of absolute goodness on earth? Selfishness is your greatest evil, but it belongs to the spirits incarnated on earth who are of an inferior nature and not to the entirety of the human race. Consequently, those spirits, in purifying themselves through successive lives, shed their selfishness like all their other impurities. Are there none among you who have rid themselves of selfishness and who practice charity on earth? There are more than you think, but they are not well known because virtue does not seek to bask in the spotlight. If one individual like this exists, why should there not be 10? If there are 10, why should there not be 1,000, and so on?
So selfishness is inherent to human race, yes, but it will not always be an obstacle because it's slowly the law is of progress and we are going to overcome. And more people will be less and less selfish. More and more people will learn the need to help others. And we can see this. The number of NGOs in the world are growing year by year, right? The United States alone has more than 3 million NGOs. And the rest of the world has another 3 million or something like that. Again, it didn't exist 100 years ago. So we are progressing, we are taking care of others. We are still far from it. It's still a world of trials and atonements where evil prevails over goodness, but we are progressing. So we can see some examples, right? They are rare because there are few that are well known, like a Mother Teresa, like a Chico Xavier, but there are many of them doing the work. Sometimes we hear one here and one there, examples of people practicing charity as their daily work. Some of these leaders of these NGOs are some individuals that have overcome selfishness in a sense because they think and they fight to help others. So if one individual exists, why should not there be 10? And if there are 10, why shouldn't be 1,000? There are more than that. We have those individuals already present, and they are serving as an example. And more as we evolve, we are going to see more of these individuals, and eventually, hopefully, we one day we will also be part of those individuals, helping humanity, practicing charity 24/7. not having to count the number of times we practice charity in one day, but doing charity because it's part of who we are. Okay? Okay, we're going to stop here. We come back next week to 9:16. Just a couple of announcements. This Sunday, we are going to study the Gospel according to Spiritism. We just started chapter 1 last month. We are going to continue chapter 1. On Sunday, oh, I'm sorry, on Saturday, I mentioned the event by the International Spiritist Council. We will have a talk by Joyce Magalhães that going to talk about the Spiritist view on motherhood because it's Mother's Day on Sunday. So happy Mother's Day for all mothers here. And we can now do our final prayer, Carol.
Yes, certainly. Thank you very much, John, for hosting our group this evening. Thank you, Philip, for reading for us tonight. And thank you, everyone, for being here and participating. Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we give thanks to be together again for our studies of the Spirit's Book. Book 3, Chapter 12, our topics being virtues and vices and passions. Our responsibility is to observe and analyze writings and information for their positive content, which hopefully aligns with their good examples in society. The laws of justice, love, and charity, they are proven guides to help us appreciate when we actually do overcome inferior tendencies and imperfections. Healthy passions can be directed toward education and helping society. We need to recognize when passion harms others and ourselves. When we lack self-control, the excess moves us away from our spiritual nature. Proper use of passion helps us move also away from laziness and stagnation. By maintaining good vibrations, the good spirits can help us. We need to provide our sincerity and human will to truly move forward. It's important for us to uproot our selfishness and pride. We are learning to practice charity on earth. The law is always of progress. We give thanks to the spiritual benefactors and the good spirits for guiding and inspiring us this evening. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us, and for our loved ones, our teachers, our directors, our counselors, our mediums, our workers, and all of our participants. We pray for inner peace and especially now for world peace and for those who are suffering in the physical and spiritual worlds. We pray for our center, SGNY, and all spiritist centers throughout the world, that they may grow, prosper, expand, and be protected throughout the day and throughout the night. As we close, we humbly ask for safety and protection as we return to our family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers. May we go forth now and remind ourselves to be beacons of love, of light, of peace, of service, and charity, which is love in action. May peace and love prevail. So be it.